Yes, and we are live. Hi guys, welcome to our YouTube live. My name is Aisha and I take care of marketing. I'm in the marketing team at Newton School.
Yes, and we are live. Hi guys.
I'm in the marketing team at Newton School. For those of you who don't know who we are and what we do, we are a growing edtech startup who teach full stack development to people interested and I take care of people interested in learning a full stack development in a course of 5 months. And what's different about us is that you don't have to pay us anything upfront. So you only pay the fees for the course once you land a job that pays a minimum of 6 LPA. And we also have a team of mentors and trainers from companies like Amazon, Ola, Swiggy, who will make sure you get placed after the course completion. Right. Today's seminar is very special because we've conducted over 7 webinars, and our guest. This is the first webinar where we have a woman speaker. Right. So I'd like to introduce Saloni. Saloni, can you wave to the camera? Say hi to everybody. Yes.
Hi,
So
everyone.
Saloni is an application engineer at Oracle, and she is an alumni of National Institute of Technology. And when I told her about how we want her to be the guest speaker, she was very excited when she heard the topic that, building a portfolio as a software developer, most of them aren't even aware that software developers can have a portfolio, right? So she was really excited, and yeah, let's begin. But before that, I want to know if I'm audible. If I am, please put a thumbs up in the comment section, guys, and we'll start after that. So I want all of you to put a thumbs up if you can hear me clearly. Cool. Also, we'll have the question and answer session towards the end, so that Saloni gets to answer all of your doubts, whatever you all have. So over to you, Saloni.
Hi, everyone. And it is wonderful that, everyone that's made here. So the very fact that you are on this session means you're already halfway there. Because I think when I was a student, I didn't even know what a portfolio meant. And only after a couple of years in the industry, I realized how important, having a portfolio or your online presence is in today's world, and where everything is getting digitized. So before we dive into the main crux of the talk, I would want to lay down what you can expect from this session today, so and what you shouldn't. So my agenda here is to not give you a step-by-step tutorial on you know uh, setting up a portfolio and how it should look like, the whole UI backend. That is not my agenda. My agenda here in today's talk is to tell you what a portfolio is, and to debunk most of the myth that goes around a portfolio, because I see that a lot of people just assume that a portfolio is a fancy web page where you basically a lot of people assume it's just a resume alternative of the whole of your CV, which is not, right? So and I had written a lot of notes to share with you guys, so I won't shy away from seeing what points I have missed. So let's dive in. So what is portfolio at first place? Portfolio is anything in this wide world which shows off your skills. That is it. It can be a web page, it can be just your LinkedIn profile, it can be a set of comments, your thought process, your small snippets of code that you've written and published on GitHub. So it is basically anything in this wide world which proves that you have worked towards your professional career, and you're enthusiastic enough, and you'll be a good asset to the company. And that is all that a portfolio is. Now, having said this the concept of portfolio is very generic. It's not something which is relevant to an artist or a software developer, a manager. It is very generic. So I want to tell you what a portfolio means for a software developer in specific, right? So, for example, let's see. Before we dive in, I want to establish what an online footprint means. And unfortunately, I'm not able to see most of you online, so I would just like to share my screen. I hope sharing my screen would be visible on YouTube, right?
Yes, yes, it will be visible.
Awesome. Okay. So I had some Google searches ready for you guys. This is a very small exercise. I want all of you guys to go off from your tab, open a new tab, and just type in your name and see what comes up. And I had done a Google search on my name, and after 4
Excuse me,
long
Saloni.
painful posts.
Sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt. Are you sharing your screen? Are we supposed to see something on the screen?
Yeah, I'm sharing my screen.
I can't see anything. It's blank.
Damn. Okay, let's see. Is this visible now?
Nope.
Resume. Okay. Let's see. Let's give it one last try. Is it visible now?
It's just a blank. It's just a blank page. You want to share the link with me? Should I open the screen on my?
Okay, that's perfect. Even that works out. So I just want you to do a simple Google search of, say, your name or my name, anybody's name.
Okay, should I do that?
Yeah, just do a quick Google search of Saloni Yadav, and we'll see what comes up.
Give me a minute. Can you see my screen?
Second. I hope the guys on the YouTube can comment out if you're able to see her screen or not.
Yes, my screen can be seen. Yes.
Awesome. Okay.
So I'm gonna type
You
out.
have to scroll down, I think, 4 painful recommendations before you come up with my dev profile.
Okay. So I'm just gonna type Saloni Yadav.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so now what you see on Google will really depend on how unique your name is, and unfortunately, there are a lot of people who share my name. Let's scroll down a bit, and you'll eventually come to my I think the first one after these horrible YouTube videos will be my.
This one?
Perfect. So this is my dev profile, which I have only recently started ardently maintaining. And, I write some simple blog post, I comment. This is an amazing a platform for all developers to interact about their experiences, and it's the Stack Overflow of 2020 basically. So this is more of my page that I eventually want to be the first one that comes up when you do a Google search. Right now, let's try searching for Siddharth Maheshwari, our beloved founder.
Siddharth Maheshwari. So for those of you who don't know, Siddharth is one of the co-founders at Newton School. So I'm going to press enter now.
So you see the first one that comes up, and that is Siddharth Maheshwari's profile, LinkedIn profile. So our agenda eventually, what a good portfolio means is when you search for a concerned person's name or your name, this is the ideal thing that you want to see. You want to see a LinkedIn profile, or say if you're maintaining a blog post, you want to see your blog post, the first one that comes up on Google search. And this is the whole agenda behind, maintaining a portfolio. And say a recruiter is trying to search for you, they don't have to go through a bunch of gibberish to finally find your online presence. And this is what I mean by an online footprint, right? So I really hope you guys did a quick Google search of your name and to see where you stand, because the whole point of this exercise was to establish your starting point, is where you want to start developing your portfolio from. And the next exercise you can do is to search for your friend's name, or someone that you feel is a competitor in this industry for you. Obviously not a huge celebrity, like you don't have to search for Sundar Pichai to see where you stand, Just search for your colleague or a classmate of yours and see what kind of profile comes up in their name, so you so that you can compare on where you stand, right? Now, so before we start from ground zero, we have a lot of clutter to clear off, which is, by which I mean, most of us have made a lot of posts, and we maintain a kind of Facebook profile in this whole social monger world. And as a 10th grader or 12th grader, we would have made a lot of posts that none of us really meant. And eventually down the lane, we'll be really embarrassed of seeing someday if you're popular and all. So our first thing would be to declutter your search history, which is go off and clear all the things that you don't want to haunt you in the future. Go back, look at your Facebook profile, delete it if need be, or clear off all the things that you don't ever want to see in future, and things that you'll get embarrassed of. That is the first thing that you have to do before you start getting into the whole coding perspective of building a portfolio. And this is something that very few people consider, or even this is something you will never find online. You'll not find people telling you go clear off your Facebook, because it is so irrelevant. But right now it might seem irrelevant, but then in future, this will come haunting back at you. So first of all, please go and remove all gibberish from your social media. Keep it clean, keep it fun, that's all right. But don't keep stuff that you're embarrassed of or will be embarrassed of. So that is the first step. Now, having established where we stand, let's dive into the real portfolio that you guys are aware of, in general, which is to show off your coding skills, right? But again, before we dive into what kind of coding skills that you possess, it is important to introspect. You want to know what kind of content you want to put up there on the internet. It's not as easy as just putting some set of hobby projects that you had done. You want to know the target audience. You want to know why you're putting up your portfolio. Is it because you want to get noticed by a recruiter, or is it because you want to have a good blog which reaches majority of the same software industry, or is it because you want to share certain experience that you have had throughout your journey? So you have to set those ground, you have to introspect on what you want in your portfolio. So this comes with number one: what is your interest? Are you interested towards developing fancy UIs? Are you interested towards game development? Or you like the whole database and the whole server concept that goes around? So establish your interest. Now, I understand that a lot of you here with us online right now are students, so there's a high chance that you don't know what these jargons are. So in that case, I really appreciate it, because you have started this whole journey way before you can get streamlined into one thing. So you have this whole wide ocean in front of you. You get to explore every possible genre of maintaining a portfolio. So in this case, start with your hobby projects. I'm sure a lot of you would have done simple HTML pages, and just as simple as hello world. So it's important for you to you know show even the minutest skill set that you have in yourself. So again, reiterating, introspect, see what you want to make your portfolio on. Now, once this step is done, you're ready to dive into your whole coding. Again, in this, now once you have introspected, you have uh, I have segregated this whole thing into three categories. One is you want to be a UI developer. You're interested in how the web page looks, the look and feel of a web page, the animations, how fancy it is, and the whole user experience perspective. That if someone lands on your web page, the kind of experience they go through, which is the front end part of the whole web pages. This is one, which is UI UX. The second is a backend developer. Now, I'm trying to explain this in detail because, again, most of you are students, so students and you might not know what this exactly means. So a backend developer is the one who builds the foundation of your application. He's the one who's the main skeleton of the whole look and feel of your web page, right from database to APIs, how everything goes behind the scenes, not what comes in front, but everything that happens from the click of a button to a new page rendering. And that is the entire backend developer genre. So I'll cover what kind of portfolio a backend developer should have, what kind of portfolio a UI developer should have, and then for all the freshers who don't care what these things mean, right? So, okay, so before I dive into this, I just want to know if any of you have any questions for me.
I think we have a couple of
Aisha, do they have any questions?
yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
we don't have a question actually. We have a comment that says, "I'd searched your name, ma'am, and found you quite easily." So I think, you know, that this session makes it just for you to be talking about how to build a portfolio. Now we do have two questions, but I don't think they are relevant for this session. Other than that, I think we can resume with the other next topics that you want to talk about.
Awesome, perfect. So, okay, if you are looking into being a UI developer, the kind of portfolio that you should be having is, develop a good web page. Start again. Since this whole building portfolio is a journey, you will see the kind of technology you start introducing yourself about. Start introducing the technologies to yourself, which is HTML, CSS, JavaScript. The first thing that comes up when you're trying to build a web page. So for a UI developer, these three things are the crux of starting off, how to start off. So make a web page, get yourself a domain, which I'm not sure if a lot of you are aware of what a domain means. It's something as simple as saloniyadav.com, which is a domain on which I'm hosting my portfolio, my web page. So get a domain, try to make a good looking UI, try to make it as lightweight as possible. So once you start getting into this, you will see there are so many things to cover. For example, this whole buzzword of what a Jamstack means, a Netlify, how to make your UI, render faster, cache. There are so many concepts that you will learn to when you eventually start making when you start making your UI. And what else did I have? What else would you need? Okay, so if you are again interested in UI, there are a lot of genres like game development. You can develop a simple game, like you can make a grid, and you can for example, there's this very simple game called Tile Tap, where you start highlighting a simple tiles, and then the player just has to click and their points start increasing. Or try making a crossword puzzle. What else can you have? There are a lot of simple games that go around. Try making an animation where you make an aquarium out of your HTML page. You have small images of a fish which are just floating by. There are so many things you can explore in this. Again, let's see. You have CSS3, you have HTML5 that is coming up, where there is this whole buzz around semantic HTML, and like how to optimize your search engine. That if someone searches for your portfolio or searches for a simple game, it should come, your development should come up in the first. So this whole thing is about search engine optimization, and how would you use HTML5 to improve your search engine optimization. So you see the kind of technology that comes into while you're trying to build a portfolio, while you're trying to develop something on your own. So this is the important point of building a portfolio. Why do you need is not only your online presence, but the journey you go through, the amount of stuff that you learn before you even end up building. So I just gave you simple examples on what kind of projects you can have on your portfolio if you're a UI developer. Now, the tough question comes in here is when you're a backend developer. You know, other usual misconception that we have is a portfolio should be a web page which a recruiter can see. But for a backend developer who has no experience with building a UI page, how do they how do they build a portfolio in this case? So for a backend developer, your best friend is GitHub. Like, there is nothing better than GitHub for a backend developer, because you get to write a lot of APIs. You have example, like you can make a date, you can design a database schema, or you can pair up with a front end developer to provide the whole backend support. So in these cases, the one place where you can show off your coding skills, your logical thinking, your critical thinking is your GitHub. So no matter what you code, after every small API that you develop, just push it on GitHub. And the second most important thing for you to do here is to document it. So if someone who is already in the industry, they'll and as a backend developer, you'll know the importance of the whole documentation part of it. And I'm sure if anybody who has developed an API, your manager would have asked you to document it and make a block diagram of how it should look, the whole flow from server to cache, and eventually to controller, and then your UI. So your best friend is GitHub, and then to have a well documented code, well commented code, an entire documentation of what your API does. And even better is if you can collaborate with a lot of other people and try to contribute to an open source. So this is your portfolio as a backend developer. Nobody would care about you having a fancy UI. You don't have to spend your time trying to develop a fancy, pretty looking web page. I would like Aisha to open this, if you can. I've just commented a URL to you.
Yes, I'm doing it right away.
Yeah.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah. Right. Okay. So this is a portfolio of a very popular guy, and he is the architect of a lot of compilers and the whole concept of open source contribution. This is a huge name, Richard Stallman, and this is what his portfolio looks like. This and so what I want to tell you here by showing this portfolio is, it's not really about how fancy your UI looks. If you're a backend developer, your portfolio can look as bad as this and still have a huge value because of the kind of profile that you have. And if you scroll down to this page, you will see the amount of content that this guy has. It's humongous. You can see where the scroll bar right now is.
Yeah.
It's humongous, and this is one of the best portfolios you will find online for a backend developer. So that is my point. If you're a backend developer, please do not spend your time trying to make a fancy UI. You will have a lot of you'll have a lot of sites like Squarespace, Wix, these, and even WordPress. These places already provide you a ready-made template of your user interface. All you have to do is put in the kind of projects you have done, plug in your GitHub profile, add link to your LinkedIn, and you're good to go. So this is what it is for a backend developer. Now let's get into freshers. Again, the best part of being a fresher is you're open to anything and everything. So in this case, I would suggest first and foremost, please update your LinkedIn profile. I see a lot of freshers just having your LinkedIn profile as back as 2018, 15, you haven't updated anything, and then your description just says studying at so and so. That is not what your description should be like. Your description should be a crisp, say 50 or 60-word description about what you're truly interested towards. So your LinkedIn is your first starting point. If you think, again, I really want to emphasize this fact is that portfolio is not just a web page. Your portfolio can be a very strong LinkedIn profile. So update your resume, update your LinkedIn profile, update your interests, your skill set, the keywords, like if you know HTML, CSS, JavaScript, put those in your skill set. If you have any certification so far, right, put in all your certification with, say, a proof of the certificate number. uh, Write in, update all kind of relevant courses that you have taken. So if you're aiming for a MNC or a software company, and you're from a mechanical or a ECE background, then again, if you're a mechanical student and you're aiming for a software industry, there's no point of you writing down courses like what do you have in mechanical engineering, thermodynamics or anything. There's, you see my point, you don't have to write in courses that are irrelevant to the job you're seeking, but update all the relevant courses that you have taken. It can be from your college, it can be a Coursera or a Udemy course that you have taken. So update all of these show that you're truly interested towards the career that you're pursuing, and that you have worked towards it. So this is the first step that you should take as a fresher towards having an online footprint. Now, having said this, once you have done all of these, prerequisites, you have made a resume, you have updated your LinkedIn profile. Now it's time for you to dive into your projects. Start making, like, if you're very new to coding, start making really small projects, very simple game like tic tac toe, or you know, say there is this very popular game we used to play that you have to join the dots. Start with these, push them into GitHub, and update, copy paste this GitHub URL into your LinkedIn. So this will be, if a recruiter is searching for someone with relevant experience, and they see that you have a lot of projects on your GitHub, it is going to boost your profile. So this is the next step after you have done with your whole LinkedIn gala. Now, once this is also done, once you have, say, 3, 4 projects in hand, something that you can show off, now move into your whole web page development and all of this. Now, again, since you're a fresher, you can very easily dive into this using the whole MERN stack, mean stack, MongoDB, Express, React, and Node.js, all of this. So dive into making your web page. You will find a lot of online tutorials that will tell you each step on how to, write a web page, how to create a domain, how to buy a domain, how to host this entire, GitHub profile into your domain. There are a lot of online tutorials step by step for it, and maybe we can also add a couple of references on the YouTube description after the end of the session. So do this, start making a web page which will have, all these projects that you worked on, and then start developing a UI. Now, the best part of this is you are your own designer. There is no UX designer or manager telling you how your web page should look like. So, so spend at least a couple of weeks trying to think what kind of UI you want to create, which reflects your personality, right? So design, make a mock-up, scribble on a paper, imagine how you want your UI to look like, and then start exploring the kind of technology that is needed to build this. And again, cannot emphasize enough, HTML, CSS, JavaScript is all you will ever need. But if you want to dive into frameworks, go ahead, do that. And once you're done with this, now you're done with making a entire UI of how your projects will be hosted on your web page. Now start, like, you can invest, say, I think you get domains within 100 rupees these days. So buy a simple domain, learn Google on how to host your web page on a domain. You will get plenty of websites teaching you, step by step tutorial. Host your UI onto the domain. Now, once you have done this, you might want to enhance your skill as, say a full stack developer. So now UI was the first thing you built. Now, once you are done with all of this, you can dive into the backend. You can try integrating your say you developed a very simple game, and you can try making it into a multiplayer, or you can try having a leaderboard where anyone around the world who tries to play your game can their whole scores will be saved in your database, and then you can show a leaderboard. So this is where you can plug in the backend concept. So now you have your UI, you have your domain where you host your UI, and then you plug in your backend. And this is the journey you take from a fresher to a full stack developer, right? So this is for a fresher. I'll pause for a while to take any questions if you guys have.
Yes, we do have a couple of questions. Um, okay. One question is, should we write our academic achievements in our portfolio?
No, this depends on how much industry experience you have. If you are, say, 1 or 2 years into the industry, your academic, achievements will wade off. The importance of this wades off after a while. Nobody cares, whether you were a 7 pointer or an 8 pointer, other than say a couple of companies. So you can skip that entire part. You can just show off your projects. But if you are a fresher, then unfortunately this is something the companies do look for. But you have your resume for it, you have your LinkedIn profile for it, so you don't have to bring in your whole academic achievements or anything in your portfolio. You can just give a link to your LinkedIn where they just click and go for your entire LinkedIn profile. So yeah, as if your academic achievements involve, say, for example, I had participated in an innovation competition called Sangam, and it was relevant to the kind of work I do. So I mentioned that. So if it is relevant, go ahead. Otherwise, if it's just like top three performers or first class with distinction, this is very irrelevant. So you can just skip that whole part.
Cool. The next question is, should we put all of our small to large projects, or just important big projects are sufficient in the portfolio?
Okay, this depends. Like, this really is very subjective, but in my opinion, I would go ahead and put everything that I have ever done. Now, if you're designing your own UI, you always have the leverage to rank your articles. So maybe you can put the small projects way below where people have to scroll to reach it, and all your major projects as a highlight. So that way they can directly dive into your major projects, but they will also know that you have done plenty more projects. So this is a leverage that you can take if you're developing your own user interface. If not, I would still suggest just mention all the projects you have done, because it shows the journey you have taken through. You started from a simple project and you have made it to a big project. That is something that I would like to see in a developer.
Cool. There's one very specific question about a specific project. Does showcasing e-commerce website with payment gateway on a resume make it worth it?
Can you come again? I just heard e-commerce.
Showing an e-commerce website with a payment gateway on a resume worth it?
It is one of the best projects you can do these days. Like, e-commerce is one of the most intensive projects that you can take up, because of the sheer volume of content that you can bring it in. You will have concepts all the way from developing the UI, which takes in all the modern styling concepts like grid and flex layout and all of this, to the whole shopping cart experience, where when a user clicks back button, it should still retain their content on the shopping cart. So this is again a huge concept that comes into e-commerce. And then all the way to checkout, payment apps, and your payment app not timing out, and say how secure payment app is. So e-commerce is one of the best projects that you can showcase in your resume. And again, there are so many companies online, like these days every product based company has an online this thing. Again, I'm not talking about B2B companies, but you have companies like Myntra, Shopify, Flipkart, Amazon, Sold Store. I think every small scale company is also moving online. They are all started selling their products online. So e-commerce has become a huge industry. So if you already have an e-commerce project, please go ahead, let this be the highlight of your resume. And for those of you who are searching for a project, start with small, but someday please explore this whole e-commerce genre. This will be a huge boost to your resume. I hope I answered your question.
Cool. Okay, so this is for us. Kindly add more webinars on accessing open source projects in GitHub. Thank you, Amritin, for the feedback. We will work on that. Apart from that, we have one question wherein Ishita asks us, are internships like campus ambassador, etc., worth to put up in our resume or portfolio?
So I would like to know what a campus ambassador would mean and what kind of job you are looking for. So
I
yeah.
think I don't know if she's still there on the YouTube live, but I think campus ambassadors are people who are still in college but are working for companies in order to spread the word out about a certain thing within their college. So I think a campus ambassador does that.
Okay, so in this case, definitely yes. So let me see. I can give you a basic example of how you can, I see there is another question on whether, you should put sections to your UI backend. So I think I can cover both these answers in this way. So your portfolio can have a lot of tabs or sections, right? One place is where you showcase a skill relevant to, say, front end engineering. That can be one tab, and then the next could be for backend, and similarly one can be for your design experience. And similarly, you can have one tab for your leadership skills, or for all the skills that is that is not directly related to technical genre, but it is more of an interpersonal skill. And interpersonal skill in today's world has a huge value. So have a tab, or say, know more about me, something like that, where you can go and you can put all your campus ambassador, or say you were we have, for example, from me, from NIT Trichy, we had a lot of online, like a lot of on campus events and fests going on. So there were a lot of responsibilities like event manager, or what did we have, quality assurance and organizing team, on event team. So these are also very important things to highlight, because it tells the kind of tells the fact that you are ready to take responsibilities. You have good leadership skill eventually to be a mentor to the juniors who are coming into your team or something like that. So have a separate tab. Don't mix it with your technical skills. Have a tab which shows all your soft skills and interpersonal skills. So I think that is one place where you can put this campus ambassador experience of yours. And yeah, like have a separate section for UI backend frameworks, definitely.
Cool. So there's one question I would like to rephrase it actually. This is, are there any best practices about writing a description on a LinkedIn profile?
So, okay, so you'll find a lot of online articles with very confusing themes, where one says directly put in why you are on LinkedIn. Some people say just put searching for a front-end developer job. And some people say, just write 2 lines about yourself. So this again depends on the kind of LinkedIn profile you want to build. But if given me, if I had to write a description about myself, I would it's I consider LinkedIn description as an elevator pitch, and I don't know if a lot of you are aware of what elevator pitch means. It's something like, say you walk into an elevator and you have, say, max 1 minute to explain your purpose or your agenda. How will you put it? That is how, in my opinion, a LinkedIn description should look like. If you had to make an impression in just 1 minute, what would you write in that description? Just write that. I would not, even if I'm searching for a job, I won't like write stuff like searching for XYZ. I would say what I stand for. Like, if I am a user experience, I am a user experience enthusiast. So my LinkedIn description says more stuff like, I'm interested towards integrating a good design experience with a well-performing website or something like that. You can just go and read it. So that is a kind of description that I would write about. And there is no hard and fast rule of what your description should have. But if a recruiter is searching for you and they want to see what is your worth, reading that description should suffice. So that's how you should try to phrase your description. And please spend time on it. Like, don't just write something from the top of your head. Like, write it once, come back after 2 days and see if you still feel good about that description. Change it if you don't. So it's a journey. Just write it 2 3 times. Finally you will hit that one description which you really enjoy reading about yourself. Yeah. Any other
Okay.
question?
I don't think we have more questions. That's about it.
Okay, so as I promised, I would I don't know if I can comment on the live this thing, it will be worth it. Or I'll just send to Aisha one website which is really good for referring to, the step-by-step guide of how to make a portfolio. So I would again want to emphasize this, that if you are not interested in making a fancy UI, please don't spend your time on it. It is not worth it unless you want to be a user experience designer or a UI developer. There is no point spending your time on making a fancy UI because it is very time consuming. UI development is much more time consuming than backend development, and it's not an offense. It's the fact. Like, you end up getting a lot of tiny bugs. Your button might just go haywire if your web page becomes small. You open your portfolio on a phone and everything goes crazy. So UI development takes a lot of meticulous effort. So if you're not into it, please don't spend your time on it. Spend it on something more worthwhile, your resume. And I had recently come across a person, like, I'm pretty sure there'll be a lot of people like this, where you think LinkedIn, if you download your LinkedIn, I think LinkedIn converts your profile into a PDF resume and you directly use it. Please don't do that. Do not rely on LinkedIn's auto-generated resume. That is not a good source of developing a resume. Please make your own resume and do not confuse portfolio to a resume. And another thing that I would again want to emphasize is, no matter how small the project is, please push it on GitHub and maintain. Like, 85% of the companies these days use Git for their project versioning. So if you think the project is not worth having on the cloud, hosting it on the cloud, at least you will be learning about GitHub. And this is a very important skill set to have if you're entering a corporate. So push things onto GitHub. For one, you won't lose your project years down the lane if you change your laptop or you suddenly decide, okay, let's go back to the project. And the second important thing it will serve is you learning what GitHub is and how you can manage projects amidst an organization with a lot of people contributing to the same source. And you will learn a lot of these key, like, the jargons that we use, or the keywords like pull request, push request, merge request. So you will learn these things on the way. So please maintain a good GitHub profile. I wish I knew this long back, and I have only recently started maintaining my GitHub profile. But if you're a fresher, then please do it.
Right. So we do not have any more questions. Are we coming to the end of the session?
Yeah, so I just had one small, not not directly related to the topic, but I also wanted to portray this. Having said this whole online footprint and trying to maintain your reputation online, I just want all of you guys here with us to remember that your online reputation is not your real life. So don't confuse yourself with it. Like, it's okay if you don't make it to finally a fancy UI or a portfolio online, or if your name is not coming up on the top of the search list. It is not a direct reflection of your skill set. You might be a very talented developer who has just not bridged the gap between what this whole online world expects and your this thing. So please do not do not get anxious that you don't have a good portfolio. Eventually you'll be fine. You will be absolutely fine even without it. But just try. You just try making a portfolio. You will see the amount of knowledge you gain, and that is what is worth it. The end result is not worth it, right? So yeah, that is what I wanted to close with. And it
Awesome.
was
So I think the last point that you mentioned is very important, especially for programmers. And people expect a lot out of a programmer or coder because they are in the digital world, right? So I think that point you made towards the end was extremely important. So we're coming towards the end of the session. I have mentioned Saloni's LinkedIn profile in the description, and I've also mentioned the step-by-step guide that she shared on how to make a portfolio in the description box. So, Saloni, thank you so much for taking time off your busy schedule and giving us so many insights. They are highly valuable, and yeah, I hope we get you as a speaker again for Newton School. And I must say, you had a smile on your face throughout the session, which is very pleasing to see. So, thank you so much.
thank you for having me here, and it was lovely talking to everybody out there. Yeah.
Awesome. Guys, I have an important announcement to make. We have released a free open course for anybody who wants to learn about Java programming. So it is up on our YouTube channel as well as our website. So you can access them there. I've mentioned the link in the description box. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel because we have webinars every weekend. And yeah, if you subscribe you'll get notified. So see you guys. Thank you for being such a good audience, and yeah, bye.